So I had to get rid of a whole mowing route this season. Those of you that have followed along and know me by now know that I don't play around with people and their issues. With all that being said, never fails every year in the spring, right? You fall into that spring trap that we talk about, and that a lot of people in the community have talked about, Johnny Mow and so on, that it's hard to say no, right? You just have a lot of customers coming at you. You know, you want to grow, or especially if you want to grow, even if you don't want to grow, but especially if you want to grow, it's just like, it's hard to say no when you have all of these calls and work coming your way, and it's hard sometimes to just be like, no, wait, are these the services that I want to offer, that are the most profitable, that I have the right equipment for, the right setup, the right staffing, if that's a thing for your business, in the right areas, and so on. If you're checking off those yes boxes, then go for it. But even still, that ultimate bottom, if check yes for all these, the ultimate final box to check is, do I have time for this? Am I maxed out? Am I already like running myself ragged? And that's what normally gets most of us, is that we check all those other boxes off yes, and at the end of it all, we fail to think about, well, do we actually have time for this? It's great that we're getting all this work, and it's all the work that we want, and it's in the right areas and all that, but like, are we already coming home past dark? Are we already sacrificing our time with our family or ourselves, or both? Those are the things we really need to worry about and think about, so that we're not feeling guilty and sorry for ourselves and regretful at the end of every day. So with all that being said, every year I still end up saying yes, even though I need to say no more times than not. So last year I started growing my business again, actively growing my business, not just like waiting for things to come my way and say yes to the right ones that check off the right boxes and so on, but to actually go out and actively market and try and get more potential clients coming my way. And I took on about 15 extra mowing accounts, obviously some other side work along with that, some fertilization and weed control on some of them, and as well as some other stuff like aerating and seeding in the fall, and you got shrubs to be pruned with some of them, mulch this time of year now, and so on. But ultimately, taking on that additional work, I ended up accumulating a handful of yards that I should have never taken on. One of them was actually in the neighborhood that I'm highly saturated in, and I'm keeping that yard. But he has other family members that live outside of that area in other neighborhoods that also wanted a quote from me. So what ended up happening was I ended up taking care of one family member that was a little bit further away, and then another family member that was even further away from that. When you go from one to the next, it's really not all that far from one another. But when you're all the way out to the furthest one, and then you have to go back over to where you started, that's where it's a big issue. And what I do nowadays is, when I think about route density and building my routes and making sure that I'm staying efficient and profitable, and should I be taking on this additional neighborhood or whatever, I think about what's the furthest point from one neighborhood all the way to the other. What are the two furthest points? And that's what I try to keep reduced. So what was happening was, there was one neighborhood that I went into because the family member of the original family members I just talked about, the furthest out family member lived in a new neighborhood. Never thought about marketing in it because it's further away than I want it to be. But because it's not so far away from their other family member and so on, I tried to tack it all on and be like, all right, well, I'll go out to this family member, then go out to that neighborhood. And he got 3 of his neighbors there too. So we go out there for 4 yards, but it just wasn't profitable, because what kept happening was our route kept breaking because of rain or whatever the situation was, equipment breakdowns, whatever, all different scenarios. And we would have to go from that neighborhood, after we took care of those 4, we'd have to drive 30 minutes all the way to the opposite end of our service area to get back to reality, basically, to the neighborhoods that we normally service. Or there was times that we were out there and had to drive 30 minutes all the way out to take care of this neighborhood with 4, because we couldn't finish it the previous day or whatever the scenario was, like I said. So that's killer. We had to do that so many times, week after week, it just was never a perfect storm of the route that I had built for that neighborhood. But in addition to all that, almost the biggest issue was that they were, those of you that know me and have watched my older videos, they were just a big pain. They were slow payers. They complained about every single thing, like the littlest things that just didn't even make sense, like stuff that like no one's ever complained about, stuff like that, just like I said, just didn't make sense. Like they would blame us for things that don't even make sense, and or blame us for damage that was already there that we talked about prior, and like they never even paid attention to their yard. They don't remember anything. They just want to like just blame us for the craziest things and complain about the craziest things, and then not pay us on time to be on top of all of that. And then other little things like leaving a mess all over the lawn. We come the same day typically every week, and if not, I send an email, we're coming the next day because of rain, and they all respond, okay, thanks, whatever. And then we show up and there's a big pile of like brush that they just decided to rip out a ton of weeds and trim their bushes and just leave it in the middle of their yard for some reason. I'm like, do they think that we're supposed to just take that? Because that's an extra fee. We're not going to just take that. So we have to stop and kick all that stuff off to the side so we can mow the lawn. And then I'm like, hey, then I sent him an email. Hey, I noticed you had a pile of shrub and weeds and stuff in the yard. We can't mow that stuff up. If you want us to haul it away, that's going to be an extra fee. And their response is, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about it. Like, what? So like, just like random stuff like that is not ultimately a big deal when you think about it, but when you're super stressed out, spring season, you got a lot going on, and then you go into the summer, things calm down a little bit more, but you're still dealing with all these unnecessary headaches of going out there and dealing with all of those random issues and being blamed for stuff that you didn't even do, and trying to chase your money and rearranging your schedule just to get out there. It just became so much more of a pain than it was really worth. So some of you are probably going to think, oh my gosh, cry me a river, blah, 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 blah. It's part of the business, all that stuff. And that's great. That's fine. There's other videos I'll put at the end here that explain it a little bit better, the stuff that I was going through in the middle of that. But the point is, I wasn't making enough money, if any money, going all the way out there, especially to deal with those kind of people and slow paying and all that kind of stuff. There's ways to solve all that. I get it. I could have kept them and forced them to put a credit card on file, all that stuff. I could have eliminated the slow paying situation, but I can't change their personality. I'm not going to deal with all of their nonsense and their complaining. I'm just not going to deal with that. That's unnecessary stress that I need to be dealing with and that my employees need to deal with. My employees couldn't stand going out to those yards because they knew what a pain in the neck they were. They would constantly nitpick them and complain that, stop them in the middle of trimming or whatever. Hey, can you get this? Can you do that? I mean, you guys know. If you know, you know. There's people like that are out there, and it just sometimes, depending on the situation, it's better to just get rid of them than to deal with them. I mean, there's going to be some people that you're just going to have no matter what, and that's just the way it is. But if they pay you on time, they're right in your service area, and it doesn't really slow you down a whole lot, you can just kind of let it roll off your shoulder, and that's it. But when you have 4 of them out of the way, slow pay, pain in the neck, it drives you kind of crazy. So again, I just want to kind of reel that back in and stay in my main service area and keep growing within there and not be driving all the heck out there. I told them, that I know plenty of people in that area that I can refer them to. None of them responded. That's fine. I gave them plenty of time. It's weeks and weeks. I told them over a month ago, so they had a couple of months to find someone before the mowing season starts, which it's, we still have weeks before that even happens. So I did everything the right way, but I just had to move on. And that will open up, ultimately what's going to happen is that will open up slots for more yards that I want to have in the neighborhoods that I'm already in, and hopefully with personality people that I want. Ultimately, you can't control that, right? You can have the same kind of people in that neighborhood, in the neighborhoods that you want to be in. So you can only control where the properties are, not how the property owners behave themselves. But that's my long rant there. Basically the point is, right, I got rid of a mowing route in a neighborhood that I didn't want to be in, and I shouldn't have taken them on in the first place. But again, I kind of got, persuaded into the whole spring rush thing, and a friend of, a family member, and here we are out in Timbuktu somewhere, and I'm not making any money with these guys sitting in the truck, and I'm driving them 30 minutes round trip to mow some lawns. Like, that's not how you make money in lawn maintenance. You can do that when you got landscaping jobs, you're making thousands of dollars doing some installs or, you know, hardscaping or whatever, but not when you're doing lawn maintenance. It's all about route density. It's all about knocking them out one after another in the same neighborhoods. Drive to a neighborhood next, you know, down the street, or neighboring another neighborhood right down the road over here, whatever, or across the street or whatever. That's where you make the money. You're not driving 30 minutes out to mow some lawns and 30 minutes back. That's not it for me anyway. If you're in a rural area where you have no choice, then that's what you have to do, but most likely you're charging more. The yards are usually bigger in those situations, so you're spending more time at that property, therefore you should be charging more, so it all evens out anyway. Because, you know, if you have employees, you're all going to be on there for a longer period of time, making that money, mowing that grass, making that cash, and then you drive to the next one, you know, 20 minutes away or whatever, and then you're there for an hour and you're knocking it out and you're making a good amount of money then. So it all balances out as long as you're charging the right prices. But you can't charge enough for these neighborhoods out here that I'm taking care of to account for me driving 30 minutes. They just need to get someone that's closer. That's all. They just need to get someone that's there within their service area, and that's it. No big deal. And that wants to tolerate whatever headaches. I've already gotten a couple new properties in the neighborhoods I'm already in. So what happens is when you get maxed out and you have those yards, you know, 4 yards in a neighborhood you don't want to be in, and now it's taking up more of your time to get out there, take care of those 4 yards and get back, you could probably get twice as many yards done in the neighborhoods you're already in the time that it takes you to go out and take care of those 4 yards and come back. So you could be making twice as much money. Basically, you'll be more profitable. But if you are already maxed out, you might not even be thinking about that, and you're missing out on profit. You're leaving money on the table because you're dealing with those people out there. So ultimately, getting rid of those people for me will open up the door to fill in those gaps in the neighborhoods I'm already in, to continue filling up my schedule with the most profitable lawns. So I hope that was value for you. There's a lot of ranting back and forth, but hey, that's me. That's who I am. Talk with my hands. It's all good. If you like it, go ahead, give me a thumbs up. If you want more, please go ahead and subscribe, ring that bell so you can get notified every week when my videos come out. I appreciate you guys for watching. Don't forget to keep trying new things and be a rookie for life. Oh, and comment below what you guys are doing this spring. Did you get rid of clients? Are you thinking about getting rid of some clients? Share some PETA stories, some PETA customer stories down below. I look forward to reading them. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.